It is 12:02 right now, and there's a few things to say. Nothing too serious as far as what you don't already know if you've been watching the videos. Jaden Springer was traded to the Boston Celtics for a second round pick, headed back to Philadelphia. Jaden Springer's a nice um, forward. I think he's like a undersized center. I look at him kind of as. I'm not really certain, but he does have some pop to his game. I think he's going to help Boston's front court. I believe. I think he's a front court player. I'm honestly not as familiar with him, but I do remember when he was drafted. So he's going to be loading up into the Boston situation to get another player there. Um, Spencer Dinwiddie, we understand that he is going to be waived by the Toronto Raptors. That is the big news at the buzzer. They're going to waive him because they don't want to pay him a $1.5 million bonus for games played. So that really sucks for him, man. He was going to play those games, get that streak, and then get that bonus. Probably was looking forward to that all season, and gets traded at the deadline, and the team he goes to refuses to pay him that. That doesn't quite sit right with me, but he does get to go into free agency and pick his team. So I guess that's what he's paying for with that $1.5 million. Maybe he can make that up in his contract as gets bought out. I don't know, but that sucks, man. That sucks. Those are the type of things that you would love for the NBA owners to not be able to avoid if you're a player. Somebody got to pay that. If I'm able to play those games, somebody got to pay that. So maybe the team who gets to pick him up has to pay that. I don't know, but it just sucks for the player in my opinion. Robin Lopez is getting traded to the Sacramento Kings from the Bucks, I think for a second round pick or something like that. And then he's going to be waived by the Sacramento Kings to enter free agency. I don't know who's going to sign him. Maybe the Lakers or somebody like that who could use a center, but I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. He's a little past his prime. And Doug McDermott was traded to the Pacers for Marcus Morris and a second round pick, or two second round picks, I believe is what that may have been for the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think Marcus Morris is going to stay with the Spurs, but I don't know what his contract looks like, but I doubt they keep him. I doubt it. So he might end up entering free agency as well. So that's all that trickled in as of right now. Of course, there will be more stuff to expect because it is every single year. Past the trade deadline, you can find out about stuff up to 45 minutes past the trade deadline hour. So we won't be surprised if something else happens. But that is really where we're at. If I had to say who won the trade deadline for me personally, somewhere between the Dallas Mavericks and the Detroit Pistons. As I was telling you on the previous video, I like what the Dallas Mavericks did, getting PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, getting off of that Grant Williams contract. I thought was pretty good for them. So I like what they did. I think you have to be appreciative of what the Suns did, bringing in Roddy and O'Neal. If they're trying to win now, they definitely need some pieces to kind of booster their overall team. So I think they did that. Um, you know what I mean? Much has been said about the Hawks and DeJounte Murray. He did not get moved unless something happens over the next 5 minutes. From what I read, they are not going to trade him. The Lakers are not going to do a deal at all, from what I understand. They announced that about an hour ago. So, um, the big deal never came. People who were waiting for the big deal never came, but we did get a lot of small moves, enough to talk about for sure. And I think this came out to be exactly what I thought it was going to be last night when I was going to sleep thinking about what type of trade deadline I thought it would be. I figured some things would happen, but no big moves. You weren't going to see no massive names. And I could argue the biggest name move was PJ Washington. Like literally, that was probably the biggest name I see on the list here, um, which is fine. But like that's not what we were setting it up for. And so we'll see what teams do, man. The buyout market is going to be interesting. Of course, you're not going to see Gordon Hayward in that buyout market because he goes to OKC at $31 million for expiring. I don't know. OKC better be pleased with that because if I were having to pay that, I wouldn't. Um, Charlotte brings in that contract that we just said, Grant Williams. I don't know what they're going to do with that. Why in the hell does Charlotte need Grant Williams at $12 million a year for 3 more years? That's a head scratcher for you, boy. Um, it's just a lot of stuff to hear. It's a lot of moves made, but nothing that isn't just role players, like role players and expiring guys and guys that you didn't expect to really do nothing. Watanabe going to Memphis, I guess, could be interesting, but Memphis is not interesting right now because they're not going to be able to win right now. So lackluster trade deadline as of now, unless something else trickles in that's going to blow our socks off. But I doubt it very seriously. I don't think nothing's going to happen that is worth any more than what we've seen here. So, yeah, man, that's the type of trade deadline this was this year, man. Very lackluster. A lot of moves, but nothing big. And so we were pleased. We're pleased, on this channel that we had so much to talk about. But as a Laker fan, I would have loved to have made a splash of some sort. I'm glad I didn't buy into the hype like I would have many years ago. Or, oh, you're gonna get this guy and that guy. I've seen this too many times, and the market can kind of dictate certain things, not necessarily the urgency. So unless you want to overpay for something, it probably ain't nothing to do, and that's what the Lakers are looking at. And the Hawks, man, the Hawks are going to have to understand that they are now developing a reputation for being bluffers. And if I think you're a bluffer, eventually I'm gonna call your wolf cry. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, you're gonna say something you're serious about is going to be on the table, and I'm just going to do a deal with somebody else because I'm going to think you're going to do this crap. And so the Hawks need to be very careful not to over bluff, and just if you want to move something, bro. But don't expect somebody to fleece themselves in the name of you. There's something to be said for having the leverage to be have a reputation for being someone who you overpay for things for. If you're not that team, don't expect anybody to pay more for what you have. For example, Danny Ainge, when he tells you, hey, you're going to overpay for what I have, teams are going to do that because they know in the past that his reputation is that he ain't playing games. And if you want what he has, you're going to have to overpay for it. Masai Ujiri, to a degree, same thing, even though I could argue he kind of stepped off of that today, to be honest with you. But that's been his reputation for years. The Hawks don't have that reputation, fam. The Hawks have had the reputation of being a bluffing team. So if a bluffing team is going to call me up and say, yo, give me your best stuff for something that I have that I know you want, I'm like, no, you're not serious. A team that, like New Orleans, they got Herb Jones on a fantastic contract. One of the better young players, length, able to defend. You want to give me DeJounte Murray? Okay, don't ask me for Herb Jones, though. I'm not going to give you what it is I don't want to part with just to take something that I know you're likely going to have to part with later on at a price tag that's not this. So while you have the reputation of bluffing, I'm just going to say no, hang up the phone, probably get your same guy for half of that next year. Think about Bojan Bogdanovic at two first-rounders last year when they tried to have him priced at that last deadline. You saw what he went for today. Ended up on the Knicks, and they got back. The best thing they got back was a guy the Knicks barely used. You can't be a bluffing team and expect anything big to happen for you. It's not how that works. You got to have a strong reputation as a team that is serious, that'll make a big deal, or if you're known for fleecing people, if someone wants to get in business with you, they know they have to overpay for everything you have, and you keep that reputation strong. Otherwise, it's going to be like, okay, well, I just know you're not serious, or I know that I've seen you make bad moves or misevaluate talent at times or overuse certain players' positioning and now have guys decreasing on your team and stuff like that. So I'm not going to overpay you for anything because I know you are thinking I need someone to be as stupid as me to do a deal that I want them to do, and they're just going to look at you and say, no, that's an idiot. I'm not going to do a deal with him. And so that's the problem that Atlanta has run into. They want people to take them seriously, but they're unserious in nature. So that's really what I'm looking at in regards to the Hawks. I just don't think anything can get done there. Boo Marley says maybe LeBron is going to the Knicks next season. That was my argument, man. That's my argument. That is exactly my argument. The Lakers, I was worried they're going to trade him, that they would lose him in the offseason, so it probably made sense to trade him, to be honest with you. But they let the trade deadline pass, and they didn't trade him, and we'll talk about that more. I haven't really given that as much thought as the buzzer has gone by, but, man, we might have made the biggest mistake we ever made, letting him walk. And that's exactly what we just risked by not making the trade for him here at this deadline. So, yeah, no, that's the biggest thing to talk about of all the things, especially as a Laker fan. That's the biggest thing. But, as I said in a video about an hour ago, I assume the Lakers know something I don't know. Maybe they have a line drive on getting Bronny, or maybe they just know Bronny's going to stay in school for another year, and maybe the rest of us don't know that. But these are the type of things that would make it so that I wouldn't trade Bron. Otherwise, I probably think it's the most wise thing to do to get back what he's worth, so that I don't have it walking out the door when I'm in this situation that I'm in, where a lot of my stuff isn't worth what it's supposed to be worth, and I got Anthony Davis to try to win now with. So hopefully there's a deal in place, man, an under the table deal to keep Ron in LA. And if that's the case, then of course you don't move him. But otherwise, it might have been the smart move to move LeBron today, and the Lakers just didn't do it. So we'll talk about that plenty. Believe me, we're gonna talk a lot about that. But as far as the deadline goes, it's about what I expected. I'm not disappointed because I didn't expect much. And that's the key to this every year. If you don't expect a whole lot at the trade deadline, you'll be very happy most of the time. Because I remember that one year, probably about 12, 13 years ago, where we were waiting for all these big moves. I was listening to the ESPN people refreshing the hoops hype and all this crap. And I swear we got like two moves, and it was like role players from the Orlando Magic or something like that. It was the worst experience for a fan who's anticipating something big. So now, ever since then, I keep very low expectations for the trade deadline, and usually they exceed those, and I'm happy. This year they met them, and that's okay too. I'm all right with it. So yeah, man. Now I got some personal things I got to go handle outside of this place. But of course, as more information comes in, for which I expect another 2 or 3 trades to probably trickle in, I'll get on live and talk to you guys about those as well. But for now, I want to appreciate everybody, man, for checking me out on live. It's my first time doing live on YouTube, and I did it out of necessity, but I did enjoy the experience. I appreciate you guys. BDL44, I thank you all for watching, and I'm out.